Let's take a second and talk about money. What's going on? I'm Tony Angelos. I'm a broker here in Chicago and I help realtors build systems to scale their business. And today, we're going to be talking about goal setting for 2022. Right now, we're still in the beginning of January and it is the perfect time to put a plan in place to crush your goals for 2022. So quick recap, a little bit about me. Last year, 2021 was my first full year as a broker. I did just over $75,000 in gross income and had about $5.2 million closing pending at the end of the year. By all accounts, it was a very successful year. How did I do it? A lot of running around. I got leads from my sphere, I got business from Bigger Pockets, I got business from Facebook ads, I got literally anywhere I could get business, I took it. And as a result, I learned some pretty hard lessons about the types of business I want to take and who my ideal client is. So what did I learn? I learned that in all the years I spent working in finance and operations and building systems, I wasn't even utilizing any. I had no systems that I was using for myself, and it was a huge red flag on my operations. So from an outside perspective, yeah, pretty successful first year, pretty successful by any standard really. But the reality was I was extremely stressed out, had no idea what I was doing, and I was just fumbling through trying to grasp onto the next one. So it's a brand new year, a brand new start, and I have put a plan in place that I'm going to share with you today about how I'm going to crush my goals. So what is my goal? Well, from a production standpoint, it's 2022. I'm going to go for the totally arbitrary number of $22 million, which is a little bit over 4x what I did last year. And that's going to translate to about somewhere around $650,000. It's going to be buyers, going to be sellers, but let's talk about how we're going to get there, because goals are not great unless you have a plan in place. Otherwise, they're just a dream. So the plan that I have focused on and the niche that I've decided to focus on is move up buyers and sellers. Why have I done that? Well, I am a move up buyer. At the time of this filming, I'm closing on my new place tomorrow. And I realized that my story, my characteristics are going to resonate with that cohort more. And, late 20s, this is a huge demographic, especially in Chicago where I'm located, huge demographic of people shifting from maybe their first residence to something bigger, which is, again, what I'm doing. So through that, I'm going to share my experience with the avatar of who my client is, and in hopes that they're going to be able to find some alignment to it, find something to relate to, and build relationships with them that way. Because this is a relationship business. We want to build trust and relationships with people. I'm just trying to show them that I'm like them. I'm one of you. Let's work together. Let's help you achieve your goals, and we'll take it from there. So what's my plan? My first year was, I would say the buzzword about it was chaos. So I want the new keyword of 2022 to be singular focus. So just in a couple of zip codes, in less than like 2 miles, there's literally thousands of people that fit my target demographic. So what I've done is, using some data providers, I've carved out a farm of about 1,600 leads. And these are people that I think have a high likelihood of transacting in the next 1 to 2 years, maybe, or less. So what's the first step? The first step is carving out my farm. And like I had mentioned earlier, I think my farm is about 1,600 people. 1,600 people that I have a high confidence that they're going to transact in the next year or two. I know that because I'm targeting move-up buyers specifically. Now, I'm lucky because I live in a really dense urban population that has a ton of move-up buyers, and I happen to live in a part of the city that has, well, most of them, a lot of them, because I am one of those people too. It draws a lot of people that are in this current situation, which is why I'm targeting them. I have a familiarity with them. So how do I know that they're move-up buyers? Well, there's certain statistics that we can look at from the National Association of Realtors, and they publish this data. They tell us, who are the sellers? What kind of profile do they have? What do the characteristics look like? We can use that and craft a story and a narrative to approach them. For example, We know now that the average age of people staying in their house has increased from 5 years to about 7 years. Well, we could use that when we're trying to parse down our list to make sure that we're efficiently going after the right people. Point is, you can craft a list of criteria that says, like, this is what my target audience looks like, and you could build a cadence towards that. You could target them in numerous different ways, and the next thing you do after you have that list is become omnipresent. Omnipresence is huge because in the real estate business, if you are out of sight, you are out of mind. You have to constantly be top of mind. We all know people who, they are disgruntled because like their cousin went with somebody else, and when they ask them about them, like, oh, I didn't think about it. They will not have an opportunity to not think about you if you are being omnipresent. So what does that look like? What does that mean? How am I getting in front of it? So step number one, my initial strategy, my initial outreach is a handwritten note. And I am not writing 1,600 notes out by hand to everybody. I'm using a service for that. I'm using Leverage, and I have gone through a lot of different services and got a lot of different test notes to like see what it's like, because I always like to receive. Like whenever I'm trying a different service or a different lead gen or something else, I always want to be a receiver of it, because I want to know the experience that the consumer is going to have. Because as a consumer, that first impression is really important. And you know this, I mean, you are a consumer of other things. You know that the first impression makes a huge difference. So I've gone through several different services, but I finally found one that I really like. And they send a really beautiful note card with an image that I pick out. I create the whole thing. They just print it and send it. But the note card is handwritten. The letter is handwritten. I write the note, and on each card, there's a QR code. And that QR code goes to a landing page on my website, which I could then use. So the way that my system is set up, when somebody, like if you, for example, scan my QR code, it'll say, Mary Jo at 123 Main Street, scan your QR code. And I could see the address, I could see the name of the person, and I have them on my site. So what can I do with that information? Well, a lot. You can retarget them through Facebook ads because they've been on your site. You can put them in your CRM because you know basically all the information about them. You could very easily find their phone number. You could very easily find their email address. And first of all, the letter campaigns that I'm sending them, they will continue to get follow-up letters from me. Every 10 weeks, a different letter, a different message, every single message trying to provide some value, some new type of value. And through all these different channels, I could follow up with an email, say, hey, did you get my note? I can connect with them on other social media platforms, but I know that that person is a little bit interested in what I have to say, and you better believe I'm gonna be in front of them all year round. Because eventually they're gonna, be like, you know what, I'm gonna sell right now, who should I call, who should I call? They probably forgot about the other dozen realtors that they know. But Tony keeps reaching out to me. I'm gonna call Tony. He seems like he knows what he's doing, and that's a listing. I have high confidence that that's gonna convert to a listing, because at that point, I have already built up a relationship with them. They've already built up some sort of trust with me because they've seen me. I'm no longer a cold lead. There's a familiarity there, and they're reaching out to me. And oftentimes when I get calls from that, they're really good calls. So let's look at my farm. We got about 1,600 leads. I know that the average price of a home in that lead list, based on estimated values, is about $450,000. I know that there are probably going to be about 15% of them, at least, that are going to transact this year. So how much is that? 240 transactions, which is about $108 million in transaction volume. Now, 240 transactions is a lot. I don't think I'm going to get 240 listings, but I would like to at least get 10% of those listings to become a dominant force in my market. 10% of 240, 24 listings at $450,000 is $10.8 million. The cool thing about these listings, though, is that these are move-up buyers. There's a buy-side transaction. And generally, when people are move-up buyers, they're buying something bigger. But generally, since they've purchased that home that they're selling, their incomes have increased, their families have grown, and they need more space. And prices have gone up too. So, or if they're selling for $450,000, they're buying something bigger, and that could be anywhere between like 1.25 to 1.5 times a higher price than the current level that they're at now. So let's just say that's 1.5 times their current price. 1.5 times $450,000 is $675,000. Now, not all these people are going to stay here, and not all of them are going to be represented on the buy side by me. But let's say that 75% are going to stay here, and I will represent them on the buy side. 18 transactions. 18 transactions, right? And 18 transactions at that 675 level. So, where are we at now? $675,000 times 18 transactions, just over $12 million. $12,150,000 plus the sell side, which is $10,800,000, is $22,950,000. I have just broken my goal by putting a system in place to have a singular focus on one demographic, and by executing that plan over the course of a year, I think that I could get it. I think that you can too. You just have to put in a similar plan in place and have that singular focus. But what else is there? Being omnipresent lends itself to so much more. When you're doing this much volume in a really tight area, just like my farm, you present yourself as an authority. Everyone's going to see you. But not only that, you will become an authority. If you're not already an authority in your market, you will become one, because you will know so much about what's going on in the market. You will be doing so much volume, so many transactions. People will start to recognize you. You'll be getting referrals. By being omnipresent on social media, for example, you'll be making more TikToks, more Reels, more Instagram posts. People will start to see you. Now, the strategy and system that I've put in place to do that is by narrowly focusing on a farm of move-up buyers, targeting them and mailing to them directly, continuously over the course of the year, and following up with them on all other channels that they might interact. And with that, there's other stuff too, like I just said a second ago about all the other benefits of being omnipresent. So many more people see your content, people start to recognize you as an authority, and you build your brand that way, turning one transaction into several transactions, leveraging the stuff that you have to get in front of more people, and putting that system in place over and over again, and allowing you to scale yourself up. If you've learned something today, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, follow me on Instagram at Tony Angelos, and let's connect, let's talk. I'd love to hear what kind of things you guys are doing to hit your goals and what your goals are. So leave them in the comments, and looking forward to the next video. Take care.